Hi friends, grace and peace to you during this Holy Week. It is certainly one of the strangest Holy Weeks that we have encountered for many of us, but I think there's something here for us. I think God is inviting us to lean into this story all the more, inviting us to see more of who He is as we celebrate what He's done for us. We're entering in the darkest part of the story, Jesus' betrayal, His death, and then there's Saturday. They call this Holy Saturday, but I think the better term for it is Confusion Saturday, or Absent Saturday, or Lonely Saturday, because it's in Saturday that God seems to be silent. I want you to think about this with me. Just a week before, the disciples were praising Jesus, and they thought they were joining on the ground level this kingdom that would last forever. And then within a week, everything changed. Everything got flipped upside down for them. Their lives were radically rocked, and it didn't look like what they thought it was going to look like. I think we can connect with this, that within a week, within a few days, everything can change. Everything can be flipped upside down. We've seen that in the last few weeks. And for many of us, we're living in the Saturday where it's already happened. Something's happened that shifted everything. Everything's been turned upside down. But now we're just here waiting, trying to figure out, God, what are you doing? God, are you here? And I love Saturdays because Saturday is actually the space between where we thought we knew who God was, but then we're introduced on Sunday that God, His goodness is far greater than we could ever imagine. But in order to wait in Saturday, we have to understand something. We have to rest in the hopeful presence that Jesus brings to us. There's a great story in the Gospel of John that actually shows us that hopeful presence. Lazarus, a friend of Jesus, dies, but his sisters, before he died, asked Jesus to come. Jesus, would you come? Would you heal him? Well, Jesus doesn't come in time. And so when Jesus finally comes, Lazarus is dead. He's already buried. And Martha, one of the sisters, finds Jesus and says, Jesus, if you would have been here, Lord, it could have gone differently. And it's at this point that Jesus says these words to Martha. This is John 11, verse 25. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? Jesus is showing Martha this incredible hope that she has. And Jesus is saying, do you believe this? Do you believe the hope that I offer? And hope is this. It's a certain and secure future that shapes us in the present because of what God has done in the past. And we know that clearly because what God has done, it is the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus. And Jesus is saying, that's the hope. Do you believe that? But he also offers not just hope, but his presence. It's a hopeful presence. And the rest of the story goes like this. Mary, the other sister, comes to Jesus and says, Lord, if you were here, it would have gone differently. And then this is how it unfolds. When Jesus saw Mary weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Those two words, Jesus wept, are so simple, but they're so profound. It shows to us that Jesus enters in to our pain. He enters into our suffering. And he enters into our Saturdays, the Saturdays of life, where God seems to be silent. Jesus is saying, I am there with you. And we have a hopeful presence in Jesus, no matter what we're going through, no matter what the Saturday we're in, where we're just waiting for God. A writer that I was reading this week says that there's really three options on the Saturdays of life. It's despair, denial, and waiting on the Lord. And despair is this. It's living as if Friday is the end of the story, that Jesus is dead. And that's it. And we claim we're being realistic, but we're actually trying to manage our disappointments. That's despair. But denial is actually looking to a hope that's not really a hope at all. It's just overly optimistic because it's turning a blind eye to human suffering, to our pain, the pain that we experience in our lives. But waiting on the Lord is actually inviting God into the confusion. And that's what Scripture is inviting us into. That's what God's inviting us into. To come, to invite Him into what we're going through right now. All through the book of Psalms, you see these Psalms. They're Saturday Psalms. They're inviting us to wait together for what God will do. In just a moment, I'm going to play a song, and I want to use this song just to invite you to use this to wait on God. That God, we would acknowledge who He is, His goodness, and we would wait together, knowing that God is working something out that we can't see. And so let me read this psalm. This psalm comes from Psalm 27, and this is what the writer says. I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord.
Do you remember how Mary was grieving? How you wept and she fell at your feet? If it's true that you know what I'm feeling, could it be that you're weeping with me? Arise, O Lord, and save me. There's nowhere else to go. You're always good, always good. Well, somehow this sorrow is shaping my heart like it should, and you're always good, always good. Well, it's so hard to know what you're doing, so why won't you tell it all plain? But you said you'd come back on the third day, and Peter missed it again and again. So maybe the answer surrounds us, and we don't have eyes to see. You're always good, always good. This heartache is moving me closer than joy ever could, and you're always good. My God, be near me. There's nowhere else to go. And Lord, if you can hear me, please help your child to know you're always good, always good. As we try to believe what is not meant to be understood, will you help us to trust your intentions for us are still